Hi, I'm Sidney McKinnon, the MD and CIO of Cadiz Asset Management. Today I'll be talking to you about the budget that was delivered by our Finance Minister on the 21st of February this year. And what we found very interesting in this budget was the acknowledgement, quite the frank acknowledgement of the challenges facing our economy and facing government finances, such as the low growth we've been experiencing in our economy, the structural reform that's needed, and then of course issues that we're all aware of, such as load shedding, the road and rail port systems that are failing at the moment. There was frank acknowledgement of this in the budget, which we were quite found very, very interesting. Now, also there was lots of talk about our precarious fiscal environment or fiscal metrics that are facing us. But having said all of this, I think there were a few points in the budget that one can take advantage of or take interest in, and that is, first of all, the fact that a lot of mention was made of fiscal consolidation. What this means is that the government is making a concerted effort, in my opinion, to try and manage its finances in such a way that it actually is beneficial for everybody in the country. But we know that it's not the case at this point in time, so it's a big challenge. We also saw within the budget the effective tax rate being raised for individuals in a very clever way, subtle way. You may not have noticed it, but it was the tax brackets weren't adjusted for individuals, which meant that you would pay a little bit more tax if you, for some reason or other, got increases, and you would then fall into a different tax bracket and you would pay more tax, and that way the government would collect more. So a subtle little change within that, or subtle little change within the way in which things were done. Now, I think there was also a lot of talk in the budget about lifting growth through public and private partnerships, and I think this is very encouraging. Support has also been promised, so we'll have to see if this gets delivered. And then the other thing that I found quite interesting was that they were getting tough on SOEs. So this is a bit of change of heart, and I think this is quite important because they've also shown that they will not support SOEs if certain conditions were not being met. Very importantly, I think we think of our electricity provider, think of institutions such as Transnet, and I think this is very important in the sense that Treasury is now getting tough on these institutions to actually deliver. Last but not least, one of the most important points that came out of the budget on Wednesday was the decision by National Treasury to use our gold and foreign exchange contingency reserve. Now, this is a contingency reserve that's held by the Reserve Bank. It's really there to provide security and a buffer in times when your economy experiences any shocks or there's volatility in your currency, and you need to use that funds to be able to stabilize things. Now, in this case, which is not uncommon, it's done in other countries as well, Treasury has decided to use from these profits to help with the debt burden that the state is sitting with at the moment. So in other words, they would use those funds to help repay debt, and the positive consequences thereof is that it reduces your debt to GDP ratio quite sharply. It eases the burden on government debt repayments. And then, of course, the other positive is that we will be viewed in a much more positive light, especially by entities such as international rating agencies, and that can only be good for our country as a whole and our economy as a whole. But on the other side of the coin, or the flip side, it could very well set a precedent using these funds. And if a precedent is set, it could mean that you will have to account for that precedent in the future, where possibly if these funds are used over and over again, they could be depleted, and that in itself could be very negative for our economy in terms of creating further inflation in our economy, further currency volatility, and that is something that is not needed. So I think overall the budget was revealing. I think it tried to be honest, but a lot of it was also not detailed enough to ensure that we could understand how all of these issues I've mentioned earlier would be implemented. Thanks for watching and hope to see you back here soon. We'll be giving you updates as the weeks and months unfold, and stay tuned.